Did you ever disclose on either your formal disclosure under the Constitution Disclosure by Members Regulation or in any separate disclosure to any Premier your interest and position in Gateway International?
No, I don't believe so.
Why not?
I should have.
But why didn't you?
I can't recall what reason. I just didn't.
Were you concerned that if you did disclose it and someone looked at those disclosures, it might call into question the kinds of things that you're involved in ostensibly on behalf of Gateway International?
Possibly, yes.
You at least knew, didn't you, at the time that you were obliged to make a formal disclosure of your interest and position in Gateway International?
Yes.
And you declined to make that formal disclosure, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever disclose any income received either from or in connection with Gateway International in any of those formal disclosures?
Not that I recall.
Why didn't you?
I don't recall that I actually had income from Gateway International.
Well, what about in relation to the money that Ms Wang provided you in cash, for example, in relation to the matter of immigration? That was associated with Gateway International, wasn't it?
No. Yes, it is. Yes.
And do you agree that at least some of that money you kept yourself?
Yes.
Some of that money you gave to Mr Elliott to be dealt with as Gateway International money, correct? Some of that money you kept yourself, correct?
Yes, correct.
And you didn't tell Mr Elliott that you're going to keep that money, correct?
Yes.
You shared some of that money with Ms Wang as well, is that right?
Yes.
So out of that bundle of cash, as it were, some was shared with Ms Wang, some found its way into Gateway International, and some of it was Daryl Maguire and no one else, correct?
Yes.
But none of that kind of cash was disclosed in any of your formal disclosures, is that right?
No.
You were explaining to the Commissioner a little while ago about Gateway International having a networking flavour to it.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I understand that. One of the phrases that was on the website was the phrase bringing people together. So I take it that at least one of the purposes of Gateway International was to try and link up Australians, particularly Australian producers, with Chinese potential purchasers. Is that right?
And vice versa, yes, correct.
And so in part, what you are seeking to do is get the benefit of your experience in relation to, in particular, China, a place that you've been to on many occasions before, correct? And with the view to linking up Chinese people, potential purchasers, potential vendors of product, with people in Australia who might wish to sell into China or might wish to buy from China. Is that right?
In particular, the Riverina, yes, correct.
And is it right that Gateway International was never going to be a seller or a purchaser itself? Rather, Gateway International was to be the middle person, as it were, to create a network between China and Australia and make a commission or other fee along the way.
An intermediary, yes.
An intermediary and get a clip along the way, as it were.
Yes.
That was the business structure. That's how Gateway International makes money. Join up people, Chinese, Australian, and get a commission or other payment along the way.
Yes,
right?
correct.
Another aspect of Gateway International, I think, was the idea of a Gateway International club. Is that right?
Yes.
And the idea there was similar, I think. It wasn't necessarily selling products, but it was at least putting Australians in contact with Chinese in the hope that they might then be able to do some sort of business together.
Yes, correct.
Right? And that would be in exchange for, in effect, a membership fee rather than a commission or other payment along the way. You spent quite a bit of time and effort in attempting to get quite a number of Gateway International projects off the ground. Is that right?
Yes.
They're in a whole range of different industries. A whole range of different industries where you sought to create the kinds of networks you're referring to before.
Yes.
Just as some examples, I think steel was one of them.
Yes.
Wine was one of them.
Yes.
Cotton was one of them.
Cotton?
Cotton, I think.
Yes, but I don't recall cotton, but...
might come back to cotton, but milk powder, we saw an example.
Yes.
I think there was a suggestion about an aeroplane pilot school at one point.
Yes, there was.
A showroom in Shenzhen.
Yes.
A coal mine.
Yes, perhaps, yes.
A gold mine.
There were lots of inquiries.
Perhaps ironically, the gold mine I don't think came off.
A lot of them didn't come off.
Tin mine was another one, I think.
Yes.
In fact, just to get a sort of a sense as to the breadth, if we go to volume 8, page 144, please. There was even an automatic car wash at some point. Am I remembering right?
Yes, there were lots of inquiries.
I think you were speaking to someone in Fiji about the automatic car wash. Is that right?
Oh, I don't
Somewhere in the South Pacific. In any event, this is an email from you. You're there using an iPrimus email address. Do you see that there?
Yes.
That's one of your personal email addresses, is that right?
Yes.
But is it right that sometimes in relation to Gateway International activities you would use a private email address like the iPrimus one, correct?
Yes.
Sometimes you'd use an email address that was called Gateway Daryl. Is that right?
On a limited occasion, yes.
And from time to time you would use your Parliament House email address as well, is that right?
Yes.
Let's have a look at, there's a paragraph that says, in the meantime we proceed. You then identify what I think are a series of areas that Gateway International was looking into, at least at that point in time.
Yes.
Immigration stuff, meat, wine, coal mines, Solomon Islands reland, and tin and gold mines. Do you see all that? And so those are examples of the kinds of business areas that Gateway International, with your assistance, was looking into. Is that right?
Yes.
And quite a number of these areas didn't lead to anything. Is that right?
Correct.
But there were some areas that did lead to some profits for Gateway International and people associated with Gateway International. Is that right?
Limited areas, yes.
Wine sales, for example, there were a few examples in which money was made in relation to wine sales. Is that correct? One of those was a sale of wines from Borambola wines, I may have pronounced that wrong.
Barambula
wines to someone associated with the Australian Council for the Promotion of the Peaceful Reunification of China.
Ah, yes, I remember that.
And I think there might have been a label that was done that was a joint label of that organisation, sometimes referred to as the ACPPRC,
correct,
and the Parliament. Is that right?